So,
Well, I'm happy to do it, but I know most of you attended the last time, so I know this will be a little bit repetitive, but hopefully you'll hear something a little different this day, or I'll present it a little differently and you'll pick something up.
but repetition is key though as well, right? I mean, I've been around you, I've heard conversations, I've heard you, and I'm excited to hear, even if you do everything exactly the same, right? So, you just have a lot of wisdom to share. So you have screen share capability now. We are recording, we are in workplace, we are live, all the things. All right. So, Meredith, thank you for being
Awesome.
our guest this morning. It is all you, my
Yeah.
friend.
Well, thank you. I'm actually not going to present anything, you guys. I'm just going to talk and I'm happy to answer questions. So I'll kind of get through the content that I was planning to share with you today, and then we'll open it up for dialogue. And I hope you guys will engage and ask questions. The thing I'll say before I even start is I'm an open book. I tell everyone I run into, like, I will tell you everything I do. I will tell you every secret I have about this business. I feel like I do not have a scarcity mindset. I feel like there's plenty of business. We all can make each other better. So the more we share our best practices, the better we all become. And I'm not saying what I do is like the perfect recipe for success. It works for me, but I'm constantly looking at ways that I can improve and be better and scale and all the things, right? And, I think in this business, one of what's really hard in this business is we all compare ourselves to others, right? We look at people's production or their teams and we wish and we wonder and want to know, like, how are we going to get there? The biggest piece of advice I can give anyone, especially if you're starting out, is like, yes, look at what people are doing and take in that information, but put your blinders on, put your head down and work hard. That's really what will lead to your ultimate success in this business. So, Elizabeth, thanks for the introduction. I'll just back up a little bit, tell you guys a little bit more about my team. So, I've been in the business 10 years. I spent almost 20 years in the fintech space working corporate America and shed the golden handcuffs at some point and took a leap of faith into the real estate business. And I've had truly, I feel so blessed and lucky and all the things. But it really comes down to two things for me, like hustle and mindset. And I'll talk about those two things. I mean, I grew up with those two things. So if you don't have them, you have to kind of learn to figure out how to get those. But to me, that is the foundation of my business is I work hard. I have an amazing work ethic, thanks to my parents. And I have a really positive mindset. And I find that when I fall out of that positive mindset, I feel my business start to kind of crumble, right? Where I feel like everything's going wrong and why are so much tension between me and my clients. And when I'm in a positive mindset and I'm in that, what I call the flow, it just feels like so much is coming to me. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. I am a co-principal agent on a multi-market team. And one of the reasons we came to EXP was for that reason. We are in Texas and Colorado. My business partner, Lisa Harrell, leads the Denver market and I lead the Austin market. EXP makes that super easy. So anybody that's thinking about branching out into other states, please reach out to us. We've had other experiences that have not been so positive, and it's really been amazing to see how we've been able to grow EXP that way. I was at Compass. I started off at a small boutique brokerage in Austin when I got into real estate and moved to Austin. I knew no one. I started with zero clients. So those of you who are like, will listen to me talk about where I am today, I started with nothing in this business. I was new to the business. I was new to Austin. I didn't even know how to get around here. I knew nothing about the schools, nothing about the city. And I learned it all, right? So I just put my head down and I committed to it. And in 10 years, I've been able to build what is now a $100 million business. So Lisa and I, our joint team, when we came over from Compass, we were doing $100 million production. I do about 40 to 50 myself this year. I mean, it's a down year. And so one of the things I'm going to talk about is how do you build production in a down year? I've closed $33 million this year and I have 14 million in listings. So I'm having a really great year and I don't attribute it to luck. I mean, there's some element of that, but I really attribute it to the things that I've been doing year after year to keep my network really warm and in touch with me and staying connected to people. And it's no accident that I have business in a down market because I've done that. And so I'll talk about some of the ways that I've done that. My first year in business here in Austin, I did, I think 5 or 7 million. So, I didn't start off doing $50 million a year. So just again, I say to everybody, like, remember, we all started in the same place. So if you just got your license and you're like, how am I ever going to get to $1 million? You will get there. You just have to implement some of these strategies and work on your business every single day. Um, so as I said, hustle and positive mindset will be the foundation of this conversation today. But when I think about production and like how do you start building your business, for me, it falls into two categories. One is like purchase leads, and the other is your referral network. I'm 100% referral based, but when I started in Austin, I worked for a brokerage that actually bought leads and passed those leads to their agents. I do attribute a lot of where I am today to starting that way because it gave me a lot of experience working with buyers. I would take anything, right? I drive for those of you in Austin, but I drive from like Buda to Georgetown, which is like over an hour in between the two, right? So I would do whatever it took to hustle to any appointment, to any buyer, to do any showing, work 7 days a week, drove a bazillion miles in my first year. So you got to put in the work to get there, but you will get there. So for me, having those leads was really important to start. So if you're really struggling with like, how do I get business? And I've worked my sphere and I just can't seem to get any traction. Maybe one of the things to think about is to find a team where they actually are purchasing leads and can pass some of those leads to you. Even though the split is usually not really that desirable when you look at it, the mindset that I took is even if I'm doing like a 50-50 split on leads that are being passed to me, it was more business than I would have had on my own, right? So I was more than happy to pay that split to someone else just to have the business. And then when I think about that foundation it laid of all of these people that I got to interact with that are now my clients and have now referred me clients, it was absolutely worth giving up some of my commission to allow me to build my business that way. So I'm not going to really talk about purchase leads, even though Lisa and I have tried that for our own team. We haven't had a lot of success. It's honestly just not who we are. We are very relationship focused, and our client relationships mean everything to us, that personal connection. I personally find it very hard to engage a cold lead, right? Like I can do it. It's a lot more effort, as we know. You have a lot more work to do to prove yourself. So we really like those warm personal connections and personal referrals. So I'm going to talk more about like the referral business. Obviously, there are benefits to both. And one disclaimer on my whole presentation today, these are my opinions. Again, this is what's worked for me. So if you say like, she has no idea what she's talking about, it works for me. Other things may work for you, right? So just keep that in mind as we go through. So for me, once I felt confident enough that I had kind of a base of clients, when I got to a point where about 50% of my business was business that was coming back to me through referral versus 50% leads that were being passed to me. That's when I took the leap and I went to Compass. So I thought, I'm going to go do this on my own. It was really scary because I knew that 50% of my income was probably going to go away. And, there are people along the way who will say like, oh, you'll never be able to do that. You'll never make it. You'll never, whatever. Again, put on your blinders, put in your earplugs, stop listening to that noise and just focus on what you can do. The thing about referrals that for me is really important is it takes a lot less effort, right? Like a cold lead, one, it's so expensive to get it. And then two, it's so much effort to convert it. Personal referrals are free. You actually get business for being who you are. And for me, the core of that is honesty and integrity. Let people know that's who you are. Be known for that, right? Be trustworthy, be responsive, follow through, keep your word. So I go back to like, if you are a good person, the business will come to you, right? So just go back to the core values of who you are, tap into those things and let that drive business for you. Things I personally don't do, but I know works for other people. I don't do door knocking. I've never made a cold call in my life. I never will. Like that's just super uncomfortable to me to go up to someone's door. I did not grow up in Texas. I actually find that a bit terrifying. I can't believe people do that in this state, but I know it works for some. But again, I'd rather work with someone who knows, likes, and trusts me, right? And so I never ask for business, meaning like I really try not to mix my personal sphere with my business. People ask me all the time, like, how's the market? You seem so busy. What's going on? And I'm happy to talk about it. But I really don't want people to avoid me because they think I'm only going to talk to them about real estate, right? So my personal sphere, they know what I do, they see it on social media, but I'm not tapping into those people constantly asking for business, right? I just be myself, and sometimes they refer me, sometimes they don't, but I really plug into and invest in my clients that I've worked with before because they are my biggest source of referrals. Um, so my approach to business, these are just a few bullet points that really work for me. One, treat it like a business. This means get up every morning, get dressed, take a shower, get in clothes that you feel professional in, right? It doesn't have to be every day. Of course, I know some mornings we wake up and we stay in our workout clothes or whatever, we don't leave our house. But I go to an office every day. I treat it like business. So it's almost like my boss is expecting me at 8 a.m. I'll be there at 8 a.m. Right. So set your hours that work for you, right? Everyone's life is different. Some people are doing this full time. Some people are doing this part time. Whatever that is for you, set those boundaries for yourself and commit to that. Um, Organize your day. So one of the things that worked for me really early on was time blocking, right? So in this business, if you don't feel like you have a lot going on or you have too much going on, you can just sort of lose track of your day, right? Like if you aren't setting aside time to work on your business and work in the business, the whole day will get away from you because either you didn't have enough going on and you didn't have enough structure, or you had so much going on that you just sort of lost control of your day. I spend some part of every day connecting with past clients because I know that is what helps me continue to grow my business. So whether that's reaching out via an email, connecting or engaging with them on social media, sending them a quick text message. A few things I do, this is kind of old school because I don't do a lot of paper stuff, but I carry a list of my past clients in my car. I print it off. And every time I have a new client that is now a past client, I add it and I keep it in my car. And as I'm driving around, I'm just thinking about people, or I'm in a neighborhood, I might look at my list and send a quick text message and say, hey, I'm in your neighborhood, just thinking about you. It goes a long way. I cannot tell you how many times I've reached out to someone and suddenly they're like, oh, I'm so glad you reached out. My cousin is moving to Austin and I've been meaning to call you. So it oftentimes does turn into business. And I'll talk about some of the other things I actually do to connect with people, but this is just sort of like my day, managing my day. Again, time blocking to me was always really important. Focusing on your systems. I mean, I come from the tech space, so like systems is not a scary thing for me. I know for a lot of people it is, but it is really important to figure out what your systems look like and how you're going to manage your business. You cannot manage a real estate career through a notebook or paper. You cannot. You need to have systems that work for you in order to help you scale. You will get to a point where you can no longer remember the details. And once you forget the details, you will start to lose that referral business. That has been my experience. Some just small examples. Anytime I talk to a client, those conversations go right into my database. Their kids' names, their pets' names, whoever, right? Whatever like personal information I need to know about them. And I've structured my database in a way where it's really easy for me to gather that information, whether I'm sitting at my desktop or I'm on my phone in my car, and I can get all of it on my phone through the app. I have found that something as simple as celebrating people's kids and pets, which may seem silly, it goes a long way. I send a gift card to everyone's kids for ice cream for their kids' birthdays, and the parents always reach out and are so grateful that I've remembered their kids, or you remember their pet, or you send a small gift. I'm going to talk about you don't need to spend money to be nice to people and connect to people, right? You certainly can, and I do both, but you don't need to. So if you're getting started and you're like, I just don't have the money to invest in that, most of the things that I do don't cost me anything, right? It's just my time, but I have to time block and remember to make these connections with people. Staying organized is super important, right? So we talk about systems, keeping your systems organized, whatever that system is for you. And I'll tell you, like, My process has probably been different every single year in terms of the systems that I use or how we use them, or did we layer in a new system or did we take one away? I'm constantly looking back and saying, like, is that the best way we can do it? Right. So just because we implemented something, I'm not going to check the box and move on and never go back and revisit that. I'm constantly cycling back and saying, like, is there a way we can be more efficient with that tool? Is there a way we can leverage that tool differently? Is there another way we can connect with clients through that tool? So be thinking about that. And again, most of these things don't have to cost money, right? Like invest in your CRM, but beyond that, they don't have to cost you anything. And if you use KV Core, you're already paying for it anyway. Bring value. So again, thinking about ways that you can free share information. Find an article, find something that's meaningful to one of your clients. A big thing here is, I know not all of you are in Texas, but in Texas, when property taxes come out, we suggest everyone protest their property taxes. Most people don't even know how property taxes work in the state of Texas. It's kind of crazy. I've lived in other states. No other state is like this. So I really bring value to my clients. I really dug in. I understand how it works, and I share with them best practices for getting their property values down so that their tax bill goes down. So I'm actually creating value. I didn't spend a dollar to do it, right? So I'm just educating myself and passing that knowledge. Whatever that is for you, find those little things where you can add value. Engage, social media. My husband gets mad at me all the time. He's like, you just spend hours scrolling on your phone. I'm like, no, literally, this is business development. He thinks that's funny, but it's true. Like, I don't spend hours. I don't have hours to scroll on my phone. It may seem like it, but I am constantly commenting on my clients' kids, their posts, their work stuff. So be on Instagram, be on Facebook, be on LinkedIn. Even if you're in a generation where you never used Facebook, you'll have clients that are. I mean, I have tons of clients that don't use Instagram, so I have to connect with them through Facebook. I have lots of clients in the corporate space who are only on LinkedIn. Know where your client base is and engage with them there. Meet those people where they are. It's not hard for you to be on all of these platforms and connect accordingly. So make sure that your presence is also known in those spaces. So make sure that you have a strategy for posting. Social media is a whole nother thing. I know that is a huge hurdle, but again, it is free. I know it's a lot of work. It's hard to think about content. It's hard to get into a routine, but the best advice I can give you on social media to stay connected to your people is set a schedule for yourself. So go back to the time blocking. Maybe it's an hour a day, maybe it's an hour a week, and you sit down and you say, I'm going to post 3 times a week, and here are my buckets of content. Maybe it's a design post, one's a real estate post, and one's a new restaurant in town. And you gather up your content and then you have it for the next week. Plan ahead and you will do it. The key to anything that I've shared here with you today is consistency. That's where I think most agents really struggle. Is they're like, oh yeah, I'll do that. And then they stop doing it pretty quickly and they fall off and they're not consistent. I am extremely consistent with everything that I do in connecting with my clients and my sphere. And because of that, I am always top of mind when they think about real estate, right? So when I said I reach out, people are like, oh yeah, I meant to call you. It happens all the time. It's not an accident that happens. It is because I'm staying top of mind with them and I am continuing to reach out, and I'm consistent in doing that through various channels. Know that not all of your clients and or sphere are going to be met in a single channel. So if you're like, oh, I'm amazing at Instagram and I constantly post and I've got, my Instagram profile is incredible and so much good detail. I realize like maybe 20% of my clients see content there, right? So I have to think about other ways I'm going to connect with them, and just know what those different segments of your clients and sphere are and figure out how you're going to connect with them that way. For me, I talked about the kids thing. You've got to make your people feel special, right? In whatever way that is, especially post-pandemic, people are just craving community and that connection. And so whatever you can do to make them feel special, you are probably doing it more than their family or their close inner circle of friends is, right? So like even like remembering their birthday or like with the kid's birthday or their pets. Like most people don't remember that. I mean, I turned 50 this year. I didn't hear from a lot of my friends. They didn't know it was my birthday, right? But I just think about like if you were that person who's reaching out to people, you are making them feel special, and everybody wants that. Um, One other thing is leveraging your network. So just making sure people know what you do. As I said, when I am with my personal sphere, my friend group, I don't really talk about work. People ask me and I will talk about it, but I never bring it up because I don't want to be that friend who's only talking about their business. But leverage the networks that you have. And if there's something you love to do, be there and let people hear you talking about what you're doing and be positive. I can't tell you how many times I've been around real estate agents and they start talking and they're just like, oh, the market's so hard and it's so bad and it's so negative and everything just has this negative tone. It's like, listen, people, whatever energy you bring to the conversation or the situation, people will feed off of that. So if you are with a network of people, whether it's your running group or you're at your gym or whatever it might be positive about the market. I feel so many times that we as a real estate community kind of create the tone of how the public is feeling about real estate. If we feel like the market's down and we're all negative about the market, then consumers are feeling that too. If we're all negative about interest rates, consumers start to feed off of that. The whole thing with the NAR news, right? It was like realtors couldn't stop talking about it. And so then the public was all talking about it. And then we kind of stopped talking about it and the public stopped talking about it. So we are in this unique position where we get to kind of set the tone for how people feel about our industry. And so I find that, again, going back to mindset, which is one of the two foundations for me, is the more positive I can stay in my interactions with people in my sphere and my clients, the more positive they're feeling about things, right? And I'm not saying like lie or sugarcoat. I'm just saying like stay positive, like be buoyant, like make people feel like this is a good situation and not doom and gloom. And then I find it's exhausting. I mean, I'm going to say that we all know, like, if you're like positive all day and then you go home, you are exhausted. It can be hard to maintain, but figure out like your own social battery and what you can give to and what you can't, and just fit into that, right? So I know like I am so on all day and then I go home and I crash, right? But my family knows that and they know what sort of version of me they're going to get at home. But we've all sort of figured out how to work with each other that way, but just know what works for you. Um, I focused so much of my conversation so far on clients and my sphere, but one of the things that I think is equally important is building relationships with your colleagues in this industry. So many times I have found that by having a relationship with someone on the other side of the transaction, it just makes the whole transaction better. I mean, we all have that experience where it's your friend or someone you've worked a lot with, and it makes the negotiation easier. It makes the transaction more fun. It makes your job more fun and your life easier, right? So don't burn bridges, right? This industry is too small. We all run into each other over and over, or we run into people who know those people. It is really important to stay professional and treat each other with kindness and respect, because you never know when you're going to run into that person again, or when you might have a referral opportunity with that person if they're in another state. So that's why I say, like, I'm an open book. Come to me. I'll share anything with you. I feel like the more I can give back to this community, the better it will be for me and the more that will come back to me. And that has absolutely proven to be true. So one of the things that I really pride myself on is this connection to my past clients, right? And so the statistic is something insane, like 85% of agents are not in touch with their past clients. I mean, I talk to people all the time that they're like friends who are like, oh, I've never even heard from my realtor after we closed. Now, I might be on the far extreme of that, right? I'm sure there are people that were like, wish I would stop reaching out or checking in. And I really do not try to be annoying about it. I'm just like, hey, I'm just thinking about you. Or, I'm sure people are like, you're just my realtor. I don't need to hear from you 4 times a year. But that is how I have been able to continue to be successful, especially in a down market. Like, people are thinking about me. People still have real estate needs, even if the market is down, and they are coming back to me. So some of the things that I do, I thought I would go through. Obviously, I talked about social media. I think that's really important. So figuring out what your strategy is there, but being present and being consistent in social media and just putting yourself out there. It's one channel, but you want to try to make sure that people are seeing you multiple ways, whether it's a personal connection and through social media or whatever it is. I send a monthly newsletter. Consistency is so key. Don't send a newsletter in January and then say, oh, I got too busy, and then send it again in May. Send something every month. There is plenty of content, you guys. There are plenty of newsletter templates available. There is plenty you can pull from to send something, even if it's a simple email, just to like reshare market stats, right? Whatever it is, make sure you're ending up in people's inboxes once a month. It's another channel that I might capture someone. I'm not expecting people to see me in every way that I'm communicating, but if they see me once, I stay top of mind. So be consistent. Birthdays. I track all my clients' birthdays at closing. We're sitting at the closing table. I never miss a closing. I ask them right there. They've got their driver's license out. I say, oh, let me jot down your birthdays. I love to help my clients celebrate. I put them right in my database while I'm sitting at the closing table. Every month on the first of the month, I print out a list of that month's birthdays. I keep it on my desk. And sometimes I'll send a gift card. Sometimes I'll reach out via text message, depends on the person and the relationship. I keep a collection of $5 gift cards in my office, and I keep a collection of note cards and cards from Trader Joe's that are 99 cents. And I just like will send out if I need to, right? Otherwise, they're getting a direct text message from me, and sometimes I might send a video, whatever I decide to do, but I'm always connecting with people on their birthdays. Kids' birthdays, I already told you what I do. I always send an ice cream gift, $5 ice cream gift card. It doesn't cost me much. You don't even need to do that. Just remember, right? Home anniversary, same thing. So first home anniversary, I personally send something. I usually send flowers. I've got a relationship with a florist here. They give us a discount because we send so much through them. You don't need to spend the money, but that's where my business has gotten at this point. So I send flowers on first home anniversary, and then I send a note card, handwritten note card every anniversary after. Every transaction that I close, if you've ever worked with me, I write a handwritten note to every person in the transaction. Some of you may say like, oh, that's so old school. I know my kids like hate writing notes. So if you were like in your 20s, you probably aren't doing that or didn't learn to do that. But some of us grew up that way. It's important to me. Like I grew up in the South, and like saying thank you and being like feeling really grateful is just like part of how I grew up. Right. And so I do send a note to title, to the lender, to the listing agent, to whatever, everybody in the transaction. And my lender, who I work with on most transactions, he probably gets 50 note cards from me a year. But he says, he's like, I keep them all. It's really special because not a lot of people do it. So just thinking about this idea of staying connected to your colleagues and the people in your business, it is really meaningful and it goes a long way. And listen, we all work really hard anyway. So just feeling like someone appreciated the work that you did in the transaction is really nice. I do monthly pop buys to my clients. So I haven't always done this, but we keep it really simple, right? It doesn't have to be anything expensive. Some months we might buy like a 12 pack of mason jars and buy a bunch of flowers at Trader Joe's and do a couple of flowers in a mason jar and leave it on the front porch. We print a cute tag at our office with our information, some funny or fun tagline about the season, and we just leave a little gift. Maybe it's a box of candy, maybe it's something for their kids, whatever it is. We just pick something that's kind of a theme for that month. We drop it off to 5 to 10 people. We don't always hear back, right? And so that's hard at first because you're like, I literally dropped the gift at your door and I didn't hear anything from you. But it doesn't matter. Like they knew we thought of them, and they will think of us when the time comes, right? So just think of ways that you can be different than other people. And by different doesn't mean you have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to, I mean, of course, if you think of ways that you're like, no one's doing this, chances are someone else has thought of it and has done it. But what I find is people don't do it consistently, or they just don't do it at all. So they might have the idea, but they just don't follow through. So the more you can follow through and be consistent, even for agents on my team who don't have a big past client database, they might have like closed a couple of deals, but they don't have a lot of past clients. I really do stress for them that send a few handwritten notes a month, send them to your sphere. Just tell someone you're thinking about them. Send a card, drop off a flower, whatever it is. Just make sure that people are thinking of you. It doesn't have to have your business card on it. It doesn't always have to be about real estate, but just make sure you are on their mind. Um, as my business has grown, we've done more, right? Like now we do client appreciation events. I'm happy to talk to anybody about that. We don't spend a ton of money a year on client events, but it is nice to have a gathering. Now, some people say, like, I don't want to gather with my clients. Like, that sounds terrible. Do what works for you, right? Like, I do a couple of events where I'm not actually interacting with clients much, but they love the result of what it is we're doing. And so I'm happy to share ideas with you. Handwritten notes, I talked about, video texts, I will do on occasion. Sometimes we do giveaways on Instagram. We just did one for like an open house where we had a property, we weren't getting a lot of activity or showings. We had another property where we knew we were going to get a lot of people. So we did a giveaway. If you come to the busy open house and you go to the house that's not getting showings, you'll be entered into a drawing. So things like that would just allow us to connect with more people. And then obviously made our clients feel good too. Text check-ins I talked about, volunteering. So again, thinking about the various networks where you can engage to maybe share what you do, but if not, just connect with other people and hear their stories. So just being out there in the world, you're constantly networking and you are your business, right? So show up as the person that you want to be and the people that you want to attract, and those people will find their way to you. Some other just like small ideas if you're trying to build a business, walk and talks. So like after the pandemic, when we weren't really sure if we were like meeting inside or what we were doing, I would go to a neighborhood and I would invite friends and clients and have them invite friends. We'd meet at a coffee shop and then we'd walk around the neighborhood, right? And then you could even do things where like, hey, let's pop into this house and I'll show you around while we're on this walk and talk and I'll tell you a little bit about the neighborhood. So just remember, like, you're the ultimate connector. Think about how people come to you for referrals for vendors or restaurants or whatever. Like, just be that hub and think about it as like a hub and spoke kind of setup. You are the hub, and just always have your feelers out there, connecting with people and connecting different people. So one of my favorite things about this job is we have the opportunity to build other people's businesses, share their names, connect them with people, connect people in neighborhoods. So just always be thinking of yourself as that connector. And then again, I just want to stress, I'm talking about some things that do cost money. If you are new to this business and every penny matters, do not spend money. There are plenty of free things you can do, but don't do nothing because you think if you don't spend money, it's not worth it. There's plenty that you can do that does not cost money. But the most important thing is be consistent. And then I just circle back to the two things that are the foundation of my business. It is hustle, do the work, be consistent, make rules for yourself, set hours for yourself, and then have a positive mindset and make sure all of those around you feel that positivity radiating. And I promise you the business will find its way to you. So I will pause there and open it up for questions.
Good stuff, right?
I
Yes.
have a
Why?
question.
Where's Lizette? Okay, that's Lizette. Go for it.
I'm here. So, what systems do you use to remind you, this month I have to send, X amount of, note cards to, whoever. So what do you have a system in place that helps you to, reminds you?
So, well, I do use Follow Up Boss. That's the CRM that I use, and you can set reminders in there. But no, what I do is I have something tacked up on my desk, and I actually do this for people on my team too, where I just help them set goals. And I say, send 2 text messages a day, send 2 handwritten notes a week, do 2 coffees a month, go to 2 networking events a month, whatever it is, right? So I sit down with each individual person and figure out what that looks like. And I've done that for myself. And so I just have that up on my desk, and it's not like I said, like, I'm not kind of keeping track really, but it's more like guidelines. And I think to myself, like, okay, did I do that today? Have I done that this week? Have I planned that networking event this month? So for me, it's not like hard guidelines anymore. I think when you're first getting started, it needs to be, right? It's how you build the habit is through the repetition. And now for me, it's just part of who I am. It's just like part of my business. But as you're starting, make that list for yourself, set those goals. And for anybody on this call that needs help with like setting goals around that, call me. We'll sit down for 15 minutes and you will walk away with a sheet that says, here's my daily, weekly, monthly goals.
Thanks.
Hey, Meredith, I have a question.
Hi, Kim.
Hi, long time no see. You're getting all the information from your clients. You said that you just write down their information from the driver's license at closing, but how do you get the kids' information, the dog's information, their favorite plant, etc.? Do you use a Google Sheet when you first connect with them, or what do you do?
No, well, a lot of that you gather just from spending time with them, right? Like you go on a showing, they talk about their kids. I literally like write it on my showing sheet and then I go put it in my database after I've met with them. Or you go to their house for a listing appointment and they're like, oh, this is my dog, Charlie. I write it down and I put it in my database. So I'm not doing a Google Sheet. You could, I think Brian maybe is doing something like that. Obviously you got to find what works for you, but I'm just kind of gathering information in a very stealth way as they're going through the transaction and then putting it all in my database.
I had the same question, so thanks, Kim. I've got one for you though. How many people would you say you have in your database, and do you do like traditional A, B, C, D, or ABC? How do you organize your people?
So I mostly organize people by I cannot remember the field name, but it's like a status basically, right? It's like, are they a closed client? Am I actively working with them? Are they under contract? So it's more like a category. I have never done the like ABC model. I know that works for people. I just honestly, a lot of it's in my head and I just know. So that works for me, but you have to find what works for you. And especially if you have a team, like how's your team know? That's the thing that I think I've struggled with as I've grown is like, so much is here and how do I get it into a system that other people then get this information, right? Because no one can read minds, I've discovered. So getting that information into your system in a way that works for you. When I go into my database, I always like at least a couple times a week, I pull up like, okay, who's under contract and who do I need to like just be checking in with, right? Just because we're under contract doesn't mean they don't need to hear from me, right? So, there's that quiet period where you're waiting for the lender and nothing's happening, but I still am checking in. Hey, anything I can do for you? So I start there. Then I have my leads. So people that came in new to my database that they haven't chosen a path yet. Are they working with me? Are they not working with me? So I'm checking in with them regularly. So I'm in my database every day looking at that data, right? So who needs to hear from me right now? I think there are probably better ways that I could have organized my data, but again, this is what works for me. So,
well, do you have like a special cadence? Like, is that still kind of in your head too? Because this is really timely for me, because I'm trying to get everything from my head to the new admin. And I was just curious, like if you, like how many people would you say are on that would be like your HOTS or your A's or whatever that you're like, that are on your list that you carry in your car? Do you carry your whole database of people in your car and just have like
no,
day, or?
I'd say like the list I carry in my car is just my past clients, like someone who has closed a transaction with me. And that's probably, I don't know, 500. I mean, I'm not connecting with all of them all the time, right? But it's just sort of like, oh yeah, I haven't talked to that person. I'm in their neighborhood, like whatever. Let me say hi or send them a quick text. So I'm just kind of like scanning that to make sure that I'm staying connected with everybody I've ever worked with. My sphere, I'm not doing any sort of direct outreach other than they're getting my newsletter. I'm connecting on social. I'm sending out birthday celebration stuff. But other than that, like my general sphere, I'm not doing a whole lot of like proactive outreach, just making sure I'm like keeping them warm. So, and then the categories, I really just sit down and make sure everybody's categorized in whatever way is going to work for you and your admin, right? So, and then making sure, like, I'd say my assistant probably spends the majority of her time working on our closed clients and our database. So that's kind of like her world of people. She needs to say, who do we need to do a pop by for? Who had a home anniversary? Who had a birthday? Like she's spending time on that stuff. But yeah, I'm going in and I'm looking at these various categories. Like, who do I personally need to follow up with? Mostly leads, right? I'm trying to generate business. And then setting reminders in my database if there's sort of any important date where I feel like someone was going to make a decision.
Got it. Thank you.
Meredith, I have another question. Pop buys. How many do you think you do in a month?
I do 5 to 10. So
5
we
to
pick
10
a
a month.
category. Yeah, so we pick a theme, we source whatever the material is we're going to give away. And usually we regionalize it. So we say like, okay, well, let's go to Steiner Ranch, or let's go to Cedar Park, or let's go South Austin, so that it's easy for drop-offs, right? And then we just sort of divide and conquer for drop-offs if needed, or my assistant takes everything. But you know, we set a really low budget. Honestly, we spend less than $5 or $10. That's kind of the range we shoot for on each pop by every month.
Okay. Would you mind posting in Workplace some of the ideas that you've used previously? Like I thought the mason jar with the Trader Joe's flowers was super cute idea. It's very sweet.
So easy.
Too,
we put 2 tulips in a mason jar and put a little tag on it, just saying we were thinking about people.
And
where do you guys literally cost like $2?
Where do you buy them? Sorry, I didn't hear if you say it.
Oh, the mason jars you can just buy at the grocery store, just like little jars, and then the flowers at Trader Joe's.
Dollar Tree has those too, really inexpensive. You can just stack up on mason jars and just have them in your office.
Yeah, I get my mason jars from Target. There's like 12 mason jars for I think like I don't know, it's like $8. I do that because every year I sell coquito, and that's what I sell them in. So it's like I think it's like a 24 pack. It's nothing in Target.
It's nothing. Yeah.
I still have a pack left over.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, let's say you picked a theme. Like, let's say that's your theme. You're going to do flowers in a mason jar. You could literally do that all year and just pick 5 different people a month. You know, pick 60 people you're going to deliver to that year. Pick 5 a month in a relatively close area and drop them off, right? And then the next year you pick something else. We do keep track of what we've dropped to who, just so we don't like redrop the same thing, but we do that in our database. So we do the last time we did a pop by for them and what the pop buys have been that we have sent to them. And then if we're pulling a list, we can quickly say like, oh, we just did a pop by for them 3 months ago. We don't need to do one right now.
What else?
Do you make it through a list of your 500 or so of your like sphere or most active referral clients for those pop buys, Meredith?
No, I mean, I don't get to everyone in a year by any means, but you know, we all have of our past clients, you know, 10% that are like our A clients, right? That are like constantly referring us, huge supporters. For those people, I'm always in touch with them, right? Because they become more like friends and you're always texting or connecting or whatever. You see them out, you go to happy hour. But you know, then there are the other tiers where I'm like, gosh, I haven't heard from them since they bought a house, right? I might not invest in them so much because they're not investing back in me. But then there's all the people in the middle that it's like they'll probably sell someday, or they'll have family or friends that they'll refer. So I just kind of keep them warm. And then we do look at things and say, okay, we haven't seen or talked to that person in a year. So we might pull a list and say we didn't do a pop by or anything for them. And then we may actually do something. That's again where the list in my car comes in handy. If I have 5 minutes, I can just look down the list and be like, wow, I haven't talked to them in a long time. I should probably check in, right? It's never a good feeling for me when I say like, oh, let's do a pop by for this person. And I say, well, we should check the tax records just to make sure they didn't sell the house without us. And sometimes it happens, right? You're not going to stay in touch with everybody, but it's like you will have this group of supporters who will continue to share your name and support your business. And those are the people you really want to be investing in. So if that it helps you to flag them as like your A clients and you do something special for them, do that. Like here's an example of a process we just put in place. Because we have so many listings right now, I used to do all the same things for all the listings. So whether you're a $400,000 listing or a $5 million listing, you pretty much got like all of me to do all the things, right? But then I started to realize like I can't give that same level of service to a 400,000 that I'm giving to my $5 million listing, and I shouldn't be. So we created, here's what we'll do for these different price bands. Under 500, here's what you get. 500 to $1 million, here's what you get. And so think of it, you know, if you have to create these little buckets of like, here's what I do for you if you are these kinds of people or this kind of house or this price point, set rules for yourself. And I do find that that is really helpful. Otherwise, you're just trying to do too much for too many people.
Yeah, I get that.
Does anyone here has a lot of experience in follow-up box? I would love someone to come and explain that. Like, I'm hearing a lot of agents using follow-up box.
So Lizette, the best CRM is the one you're going to use, right? And how you're going to use it. I use Follow Up Boss, but I don't use it the way some others use it. And personally, I would probably use what's free. Through the luxury division too, you get a discount on Follow Up Boss. But what I will tell you about Follow Up Boss, we'll get some people in here. It's so specialized though. If everybody's using different CRMs, it's not going to be as useful. Renee Funk is an expert in Follow Up Boss. David Shapiro is an expert in Follow Up Boss. So there's a bunch of people. So maybe what we can do is pull together a Follow Up Boss mastermind. But there's also all of that in Workplace. I just think if we have 40 people using different CRMs, it's not as impactful. But I think Meredith probably uses Follow Up Boss different than I do. So
but that's the thing. I mean, I probably use 20% of the functionality in Follow Up Boss, right? There's so much more we could be doing. But going back to this idea that I said earlier, which is like, don't compare yourself. Don't get caught up in the noise of like what everybody else is doing. Figure out what works for you and do that thing and be good at that. And then if you want to level up from there, do it. That's what we try to do is like we become an expert at a process and then we add to that process and then we become an expert at that and we go to the next level. So don't try to do everything at once or you just won't do it, right? There's so much functionality in Follow Up Boss that we don't use that I know a lot, like drip campaigns. I've never even looked at it. I know a lot of people use that and they love it. I just honestly haven't had the bandwidth to like sit down and figure out how it's going to work for us. And for me, it doesn't feel very personal to do it that way. I know for a lot of people, that is like the way they stay in touch with their past fear. So again, figure out, like Elizabeth said, the best one is the one you'll use, but figure out, you don't have to do everything out of the box, right? So just if you're implementing a new CRM, just get your clients in your sphere in your CRM and start to categorize them in a way that's meaningful for you for the things that you're trying to achieve. You can always do more later.
I understand. I'm just in the transition. I normally use KB Core, which is the one that we, have. But I'm in the transition because I'm all about systems and processes, and probably people here are not. But I just realized that, with years in the business, I need to have all of that in place for me. And I forgot things really fast. I'm not, so I need a system that reminds me. I need a system that makes me be organized. Probably there are people that are the same way like me. So I'm just, figuring it out. And I've been researching about Follow Up Boss. And I have here a lot of agents having, a great success with Follow Up Boss and integrating everything. So I was wondering, since I think, Michelle, you use Follow Up Boss as well, right?
Not yet.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
still trying to use KV Core because I
Yeah.
really want to know if these squeeze pages do
Mm-hmm.
what they can for
I
me.
have a
Okay.
question for Meredith before she leaves. And maybe this has never happened to you, but retouching clients that you haven't been in communication with, the ones that have fallen through the cracks, do you have a recommendation on how to re-engage without them realizing you haven't?
Um, I would, that's such a good question. And of course that happens to all of us, right? It's like, oh, I totally forgot about that person. Um, I would I would just sort of start slowly, like don't do everything at once, right? Like don't text and then drop off a pop by and then like just reach out, just start, right? Just say, hey, it's been a while since we've chatted. I just wanted to reach out and see how things are going. Hope you're still loving the house. So I usually will start with a text message if I feel like I haven't heard from someone in a while. First, I check the tax records just to make sure they still live where I sold them. But then I do just reach out. And if I don't hear from them, maybe I set a reminder in my database to check back in a month. But I'm not going to like be obnoxious and just be constantly reaching out. Um, Again, that's just not my personality, but that works for some people. So yeah, that's tough. When people fall through the cracks, it's really hard. I know it's hard for all of us because you spend, again, going back to this idea of like the referral business is free, right? All it costs you is like your time and effort and energy into that person versus like paying for a lead. But when you invested in someone and then you kind of forgot about them and they went a different direction, like that really hurts. I know we all take that so personally. So that's why I really just try so hard to keep people warm. And, you know, I'm not for everyone. So people may have worked with me one time and said, like, that wasn't my best experience. I'm going to go a different direction, or my friend got their license, whatever. Try not to take it personally because there's plenty of business. So try not to be like, have that scarcity mindset. If people have fallen through the cracks and they're not engaging with you, then maybe you stop putting effort into them, right? Like I definitely have some clients that I have done so many things and I have literally never heard a word since closing. And I'm like, I'll try, but I'm not pouring into those people like I am the people that I talk to all the time.
And search workplace, y'all, because there are groups and people and things already set up in there that you could probably plug into. I think it's just so hard to specialize on one of our huddles on just one CRM because so many people are using. I mean, I probably use mine 5% of what I do. I could use Excel better than Follow Boss. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity there. So anyway, but Workplace has a ton. All you have to do is search it, and I guarantee you're going to have so much at your fingertips, videos and all that stuff. But I bet that you could get some people to, and here's where I would encourage you, get some people, maybe you get a Renee and a David and some other people on a video or on a Zoom, record it, post it in the group and say, hey, this is what we did. If this is useful to anybody else. I do that a lot. And people come to me all the time. They're like, hey, I want to talk to you about your team, which I don't have a team, a self-organized team. And I'm like, oh, great. I did a video on that. Let me tag you. Right. And so then you're creating a library. So if any of you guys do that, and Lizette, you know, take the ball and run with it. If any of y'all do that, I would encourage you to record it, stream it in there, and then everybody can use it as a resource. Cool. Meredith, this is awesome. Brad Feynman is the male version of Meredith Alderson. Brad is a master at this. And I do the same thing you do, which is really cool to sit there and go, oh, good. I'm not the only nerd that prints out my list and makes sure my clients are in there and doing this. It's just a good reminder that what we're doing works for us. And I love some of the new ideas. And I mean, you're doing this at a very high level, and golly, I'm exhausted thinking about it because I know how much work it is on my part and the production I'm doing, and I'm seeing like 33 million already this year for you. That's amazing. So huge kudos. If y'all get nothing from that, understand that everybody builds business in a different way. Figure out what's authentic to you. And obviously Meredith is honing in on her skills. So I hope this was super helpful to you guys. Meredith, I love this. I recorded it this time. If you guys have any questions, chime in on the chat in the group so other people can share in on that. And then we're at the top of the hour. So if there's nothing else, we'll let everybody go. Have an amazing weekend. And then we'll plan to see you guys next Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Meredith. Bye, y'all.
Thanks for showing up, y'all.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.